testosterone, we have a problem.
This is Outside the Manosphere, where two guys with zero credentials dive past the cliches of masculinity and try to become better friends by actually talking to each other. It's weirdly hard, but we're doing it anyway. Join us.
Welcome to Outside the Manosphere. I'm Skip.
And I'm Carlos.
How you doing this week, Carlos?
I'm all right.
So we're recording a little bit earlier today. What's up?
Yeah, I told you a couple months ago, maybe more than a couple months, that my probationary period as a paramedic is over. Well, it was technically over, and I still had one last thing that I had to do, which was out of my hands. It was a matter of scheduling. Anyway, so I'm doing that this morning. So it's at 9:30. So we had it's quite early for me over here, but I'm usually awake way before this. It's just I'm not usually thinking way before this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got a bit of a cold. You could probably hear it in my
I got one too, and
Same,
you already heard my little guy in the background because he's homesick.
Oh,
okay. I've been fighting stuff for a couple weeks, but for the last week he's been homesick, including over our Thanksgiving. So he got quarantined, unfortunately, in his room when we had our Friendsgiving. Yeah, because this isn't America. People don't get time off for Thanksgiving, so we do it like on the weekend after. And it was big fun, but he was locked in his room, and then and one of our guests had kids that they were like, their immunity's real good, so he did get to go play with kids and stuff, which was nice, and he got 2 plates of food, and the first one a visiting dog ate, and the second one he sat in. So it was full bore, great night for
I remember, this is a little sidebar. I remember one time Jody and I were having our dinner, and this is in Prague, and we were being pigs and like sitting in front of the TV. Like, it was a low coffee table. It was our little dinner table for the night. Mm-hmm. Evelyn, our cat, which was her cat, it's our cat, but she had her before we got together. She was just like pestering my feet and just annoying me, and she sat on my toes, and I knew she was there, and I knew that I would startle her if I moved, and so I deliberately like wiggled my toes, and she sprang up, hit the coffee table. That startled her. She came out from under the coffee table, sprang up again, landed right on my dinner plate, and the dinner plate just like popped up in the air, and like all my food. It was really, really funny.
Man.
And exactly what I deserved for intentionally scaring the cat.
Yeah, I've been fighting something for the past few weeks, and like it's just been just a tiny bit where like I know I'm fighting it, but like it's in the background. And this morning I finally woke up, and I'm just like, I'm achy and tired. This is it, because I don't get like sick. The first thing I always get is just really tired.
My thing was like, so Jody was sick, and then the people were sick all around me, like at work and stuff. And I got stuck in the ambulance for like 5 minutes with somebody, because I thought we were on our way to a call, but it got canceled. But for like 5 minutes, she came into work like, I'm sick. I'm like, why are you here? Like in my head, I'm like, yeah, why are you here? Well, if you're so sick, why are you here? And then I got stuck in the truck with her. But what really did it for me, I think I've been sick all along, but like I had 2 night shifts in a row, and the first night shift, I went in tired. I was exhausted when I went in, and I didn't get to sleep till like 3:30, and then I only slept for a couple hours, and then it just wrecked me. And then immediately the next day I had another night shift, and that one wasn't as bad, but like, man, those night shifts are brutal. I thought I could handle it. I mean, I can't handle it. I am handling it, but in moments where my immune system was already compromised, this just like took me out.
Sure.
So it's real mild though. I suspect I have like COVID or something, because I don't know. It's super mild, but it's just annoying, and it's uncomfortable as well, and it's kind of migrating to my chest. Anyway,
all right. So what is this last little bit of your probationary period? What is this that you're doing today?
As far as I know, it's just like I'll be driving around town for like an hour with another paramedic who's like, I guess, qualified to judge my driving. I'm not quite sure exactly. I don't know for sure, but I think it's about an hour long. And I'm just going to probably be reversing and doing those little crossing into the highway cutaways. You know how they're prohibited for anyone who's not driving an emergency vehicle. that kind of thing. I'm guessing. I don't really know, but it's driving. It's driving, so I'll be driving around for a bit.
All right. Yeah, and we're both stashless for the first time in a while. This is the best I've looked without a mustache since I was like in high school, I guess, because I've lost weight or something. I don't know. But yeah, normally when I shave my face, which I do every, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, I'm just like, I hate you. but I feel like I don't look so bad this time, so that's nice.
Well, you know what, man? I rarely shave like to the skin anymore, and for the same reason, like I think like you don't look, not you, but like guys our age. I think when you shave to the skin, you look like an old boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's no longer like, oh, look how young and like hunky you look. Like, no, you look like an old person with like sagging cheeks and yeah. So I usually just do like a trim. I always have a little bit of stubble, but like really close to the skin. But anyway, yeah, I shaved it off yesterday, and to my surprise, Jody's like keeps touching my face and like she's always smiling and she loves me without the mustache. I'm like, well, now I see the truth. Like this is it was better without the mustache, because she liked the mustache. She kept going on about it, but and she said that again this morning. She didn't know I liked it, but I just haven't seen your face for a while.
She just likes you however she can get you. That's really nice.
Well, you know what? That's the best a husband can hope for, I think. Yeah. Or a partner can hope for.
I do have a quick question. Did you watch Kunk?
Oh, I did watch. I watched. I had completely forgotten about it until I was going over the notes. Yes. I watched one episode last night. Why don't you explain it real quick, like briefly, because I'm pretty sure I cut it out of the last episode because it was extraneous.
So your assignment last week was to watch a Kunk show, and it's a character. It's sort of like, you know, Sacha Baron Cohen does characters like Borat and stuff like that, but it's a woman named Diane Morgan who plays a character called Philomena Kunk, and she does documentaries, or they're like mockumentaries, really, but she is just sort of like the Mr. Magoo of documentaries, or I don't even know, like she asks really inane questions and she interprets things that she sees in very silly ways, and it's a funny little gag. She's a weird character, and she was somebody that when she came out and we saw her, and I guess she's been around for a long time, but the first time Jess and I saw her, we were immediately reminded of Detective Klump from our...
Oh, that's so funny.
That's why I had you watch her, because she's like the spitting image of what we were imagining.
That is so funny.
So did you watch some Kunk?
I watched one episode, and she was, so I remember seeing like a trailer for it before, and I'm thinking, oh, that sounds funny. I kind of had an expectation of what it was. I'm like, I'm probably not going to watch it. And watching it, I'm like, it's exactly what I expected it to be. Not in a negative way. It was really, really funny. Right. I laughed out loud on multiple occasions, actually. And it very much reminded me of Ali G / Borat / Bro, which is all Sacha Baron Cohen. Just I guess it was more structured, because Sacha Baron Cohen was like a sit down interviewer, and I guess they kind of went on side sallies and like did little adventures, but for the most part, hers is a documentary. At least in this episode, was about the world, and she was interviewing like academics, and yeah, dude, it was really funny. It was funny because I guess something you didn't include in your synopsis of her character was that she's very like plugged in with like TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and she references all that stuff in the context of like history or whatever. So like, what would they say about? Well, I'm not gonna. I can't think of what she said, but she asks really dumbass questions, and she plays such a stupid character. Yeah, and these people, just like Ali G specifically, not necessarily Borat, but Ali G was a really dumb interviewer, and they're interviewing these professionals and these academics and these celebrities and these politicians or whatever, and these people are like, I got to hand it to those Brits, man. They were all super kind to her. They were really, really patient and really nice, and kind of twisted her question into something intelligent. And it was funny, but yeah, that was good. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun. I'll probably watch there's like a season 1, I think, in 2022, and then there's a movie of some kind.
There's a couple of them. It reminds me also very much of the Daily Show correspondents, how they go out and they'd interview people in a non-serious way, but they were interviewing serious people. And,
right. Yeah. It's so cringy too, like, because she's asking these questions and you're like, oh, I don't know. it's pretty amazing how these people can like stay in character
Right.
when these people are judging them for being morons. You know what I mean? And it's pretty impressive. Philomena Kunk, I think was the
Philomena
Kunk on Earth is even the title's funny. Yeah, it's good.
So, shall we continue on with our worst advice from the manosphere, from the alpha males in quotation of the manosphere?
I think we should. It's fun. It's light.
Yeah, and this is from an Upworthy article, and it's just a list of dumb things that we've heard. And we're up to number 5. Last time was number 4 about men not wiping their butts, and I encourage you to go back and listen to our last podcast about that. This one is number 5. Carrying an umbrella or wearing a coat is girly. I have to confess, I mean, I wear coats, but I don't carry umbrellas because I find them annoying. Because here's my thing with umbrellas. Usually when it's raining hard enough that I actually want an umbrella, it's windy enough that umbrellas just fucking fall apart. So I kind of hate umbrellas, but like a coat with like a hood, something to shield me and, keep me warm. Yeah. What do you think about this?
Well, it's funny that you started off with a confession, because I was going to say the exact same thing, actually. Yeah. It's not for me. I just don't like carrying something, you know what I mean? And unless it's my phone or whatever, I'm looking at and gluing it to my face. But when I was younger, my confession is that, I felt that way. Like, oh, I don't need an umbrella. And I'd be one of those dopes walking around in the rain. I gotta need an umbrella. And even people would offer, you want to come over? Like, I'm like, no, I'm fine, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A very young man's sort of macho way through life. And wearing a coat, I think maybe when I was really young, I'm like, I'm not cold, sort of thing. You know what I mean? But
yeah. I definitely remember that time.
There's a ton. I remember there's a ton of that in the Czech Republic. There's like guys walking around in like shorts. I'm like, dude, it's like there's snowing. It's snowing outside. Like, why are you in shorts? And then, I thought that was pretty funny. There's a lot of machismo attitudes around there as well. But I would happily carry an umbrella now, and I've come to the wisdom of wearing a coat in cold weather years and years ago. So I think it's stupid, and I think it's for young guys. And if you're an older guy with that sentiment, boy, you got some work to do.
Yeah, and I think there's lots of manly coats and manly jackets, and I don't know. I mean, like, I still am not a big fan of umbrellas. If it is rainy outside and I have an umbrella and it's not windy, I will definitely use an umbrella. But for the most part, I just find that, like, I don't know what it is. We've never mastered umbrella technology. They always like just invert and become a problem, I feel like. But yeah, like coats, man, give me a good coat. If it's cold out, I want to be warm. I don't want to get sick.
The problem is the best umbrellas that like are less likely to invert are those like domey ones or they're big heavy ones that aren't that are just going to maintain their integrity. But but then they're heavy and you're carrying around this big stupid umbrella. For me, I don't like umbrellas, and not because it's not manly, just because it's cumbersome and I don't want to lug them around. All right.
Yeah.
I say we move on. That was pretty simple, and that was nice.
That was pretty simple.
Nice little taste of stupid men. All right, Skip. Are you ready to fall in love?
Always.
Okay. All right. So this is from our ongoing list of 36 questions to fall in love that we snagged from the New York Times some time ago. The next statement in this list here is a shared embarrassing moment in your life. I've already got one. I'm worried I've already told it on record, but you'll have to just correct me or let me know if I have. But go ahead if you've got something.
Well, yeah. I mean, how many embarrassing moments do I have in my life? Plenty. But I'll go with one from when I first started living in the Czech Republic.
Okay.
And I was trying very much in earnest to learn the Czech language. And, I had my little, because this was back before Google Translate and all the things that we've got now. So I had my little language book, my little Czech to English dictionary, and I had a Czech girlfriend who didn't speak English, and I'd go hang out with like Czechs, beginners, students, things like that, trying to speak. And I was also, very, very poor because I had just gotten to the Czech Republic. And, I had just recently gotten a job. You don't get paid a ton. And I had to put down like rent and a deposit and things like that. So was kind of like still in recovery mode from that. And I was out with some Czech friends, and they were like, "Oh, let's go do this." And I was trying to like just communicate in Czech, and I wanted to say, I want to go, but I don't have a lot of money. And the word for money is penise.
Mhm.
And so I said, ja mam malý penis, which means I was mispronouncing things, and I said to them, I have a small penis. Instead of I have little money, I said I have a small penis. And so they all started laughing, naturally. And, to my response, I was like, it's not funny, it's true. So needless to say, it was clarified, because I didn't know the word for penis was basically penis.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's, I'm just, yeah. So it was quite embarrassing. It was quite embarrassing, but that's it.
Man, that's a good one.
How about you? What's an embarrassing moment in your life?
Okay, so you might, if you recognize this story, I guess I'll finish it anyway in case someone hasn't been following our catalog of podcasts, but I'll think of another one too if I've already told you this. So this was not just an embarrassing moment. This was maybe the genesis of embarrassing moments of my life, because it's the first time that I recall, it's the first time ever that I blushed. I've never blushed. Before that moment, I had never blushed. And after that, I blushed like at the drop of a dime. Like anytime, any or what is it, the turn of a dime or whatever. I messed up.
Drop of a dime. Drop of a hat.
Drop of a hat.
Yeah, you can turn on a dime.
Turn on a dime. Hat. Yes. Okay. There we go.
We're great at this.
For all you English language learners,
we're real biffs from Back to the Future.
Make like a tree. Get out of here. So I was like 12, 11, 13, right around there. And I've always been a bit of an artist, like with sketching. And I was obsessed with a supermodel named Kathy Ireland. Any of this sound familiar yet?
Only from my life.
Okay, so I had like posters of her and like her swimsuit, Sports Illustrated stuff, and I know I had magazines of Kathy Ireland. Nothing nude or anything.
Yeah.
But so I thought, you know what? She's never nude, and I can draw her nude. I'll just take one of these pictures, and I'll recreate it, and I'll draw her. I'll draw her without the bikini and without the swimsuit. Sure. And so I took one where she's like, on her knees in the sand and like, arms up and, elbows bent and her hands in the back of her head sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And I drew her breasts and her what I thought was vagina, which is influenced by like 70s Playboys that I discovered over here and there. So there was like some serious like bushage going on in this little imagination of mine. So I drew this sketch, black and white, of naked Kathy Ireland. Her likeness was quite close, I think. And immediately I went to the corner store where my friend's brother worked, because there was a copy machine there. And I thought, great idea. I'm going to make copies for like all my friends. And so I showed it to him, and he was like, "Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm glad to see you're using your talents or whatever." And put it in the copy machine and made copies, and then took one of the copies right back to the desk to show him like what the copies looked like. And he just kind of like threw his teeth. He's like, I said, "What?" And he's like, "You left the original in the machine, stupid." And I turned around, and there was a woman with her young daughter, and she was holding the original copy to me. And she was like, "Here you go." She was like, "I don't need a copy." And I just felt all the blood rush right to my face. I don't remember what I said to her, but I just got out of there. It was so embarrassing. And that was my first blush in my life, and opened up all the capillaries in my face. And that was that. Have I told you that story before?
No.
Okay,
no.
Well, there you go, world. I told it before. It's a funny story. That's all I got. No more embarrassing moments until they come naturally.
Yeah. I've got a couple more, but we can leave them for later dates.
Oh, if you want to spill, I guess I can come up with more if you think.
Well, it's really up to you. I mean, we have satisfied the question. I guess I'll say this, and if we keep it, we keep it. I've talked about before, like, my family doesn't talk about things very much. Like, I would never have had a Kathy Ireland poster up in my room because it would be to acknowledge sexuality in some form. So, an uncharacteristic move for me, trying to broach, I don't know, openness or something. At some point, I just randomly, I was like, oh man, I'm really glad I wasn't circumcised to my parents. And they just started laughing at me because I had never seen an uncircumcised penis, and I am circumcised. So that was, like having your parents laugh at you about your penis and your complete lack of understanding of anatomy. Yeah, that was definitely something that didn't encourage more sharing in the future.
That's funny.
I'll remember. Unfortunately, I feel like all the embarrassing things that come off the top of my head are penis related. But, but yeah,
I don't know that I don't think I have any penis related embarrassment. I'm sure I do somewhere in my life. Oh, this isn't penis. This is a systemic related. So I was driving to pick up a girlfriend. I was 20 years old. I was driving to pick up a girlfriend from the airport. It was from Austin to Houston. It's about three and a half hours. And I had to pee really bad. And I was like, next exit. I'll find a gas station, next exit.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point I couldn't hold it anymore. I'm like, I'm going to piss my pants if I don't find a spot.
Yeah.
And I'm not one to pee on the side of the road, like on a busy highway. Like I won't do that.
Yeah.
I should have done that. But anyway, so what happened was I finally was like, I just got to exit. Whether there's a gas station here, and I got to exit. So I exited, and I'm like in a neighborhood, and I'm like, I have to find some place to pee. And I don't know, Skip, if you've ever pissed your pants as an adult, but
I haven't. No.
It's a pretty upsetting experience.
Yeah, so, I can imagine. Yeah.
So yeah, dude, like I couldn't hold it anymore, and I started pissing myself. And like I had already unbuckled my seatbelt. I was in the middle of a neighborhood, like a subdivision, and I was like, it's so distressing to like lose control of your bodily functions like that. And I just pulled over. I was like pulled over in the middle of a street in a neighborhood, not even like pulled over. I was in the middle of the street, literally like askew. And I just hopped out of the car and I finished peeing right there in the middle of the street. But I already pissed myself, and I just finished up and got in the car and like screeched out of there. And then I still had to pick up my girlfriend, whom I hadn't seen for a while. And I was like, I was like still damp and shit. And it was so embarrassing. And she was super understanding, and like, it was fine, but it was just like, I had to go walk to the airport. I'm like, oh my God. Man. Yeah, you couldn't tell. Like, I think I was dry enough, but it was like, it was a pretty embarrassing experience. But that's a second for me.
That feels pretty mortifying. Yeah, that's like the full Bridesmaids.
Fewer witnesses, but yeah. Very similar.
So I've been noticing on my social media, and I think because of this show, my social media is turning more and more towards this type of content because I'm always interested in it. But I've seen more and more threads or posts or whatever about men talking about women needing to lower their standards or else they'll wind up alone. And I've seen multiple responses from women about this, where it's just like, well, women in the past, like, because a lot of times it's juxtaposed with women of the past and how they would have dinner ready and, be taking care of their man and this and that, and how that was a better time. And women have been bringing this up too and saying, well, they were tied to these men financially, and there were different expectations, and that doesn't mean they were happy. They weren't able to fully experience life as their own person and have freedom and things like that. And I've also seen women saying like, oh no, I'll be alone in my clean apartment where I don't have to take care of an adult. And, so, and like do the man keeping for their emotional feelings and all this stuff. And so like, I've been seeing kind of this push and pull online, and I was interested to find out what my friend Carlos thinks about this, or if you've even seen these posts, because I seem to have been seeing them a lot lately.
No, I actually haven't. I mean, it's not an unfamiliar topic. I mean, I think we've even touched on some of this before, but in our notes here, you I don't know if it's a screenshot or what that you posted.
Yeah.
I'm not going to know how to say this woman's name. Rensam. She posted in some dating threads things. It really resonated with me because of what I've still told you about my grandmother before. She said,
right. I thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah. She says, I'm going to piss the men off today, but the reason your parents and grandparents were married for so long is because your grandma was shackled at the ankle financially. When you make your own money, all a man can offer you is how he treats you. That's all caps. That's why there is a male loneliness epidemic. Yeah, and then another person says, ask any woman over 55 to 60 about marriage, and most will say no. And then there's another person that says, I am 71, all caps, do not do it. I want to slap my younger self 100 times over. Yeah, I mean, of course, that's a snapshot of a snapshot of a snapshot. But yeah, it reminded me of both my grandmothers, actually. And I know I've mentioned probably both of them before, but on my maternal side, my grandmother, I think she was happy with her family.
Mm-hmm.
Was she happy with her relationship with her husband? You wouldn't even have to ask if you knew them. You know what I mean? But like, you know, he wouldn't let her drive. Like she did,
Right.
her license expired. She'd forgotten how to drive, but she also held a full-time job. Like she was bringing in money as well. She did 100% of the cooking. She did all the child rearing, all the stuff that we're talking about. She did that while he was, you know, chilling and spending money. And that's really shitty for me to say. I'm sure, like, I know that my mother doesn't listen to this. My father definitely doesn't. So I'm okay. I'm okay with talking about this. Because I mean, whatever. They were my grandparents as well, and they were my experience as well. They're my observations. It's not like I wasn't influenced by anything I was told, except from maybe on my father's side, because my paternal grandfather died when I was 2. So I never really got to know him, but he was a big drinker, and he was a problematic guy. He was violent and mean, from what I've been told. And on his side, my grandmother was a trained pianist and violinist, and under his like tyranny, her kids didn't even know she played the violin for like 30 years. They didn't know she. They didn't know she was.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah. But and again, I'm repeating this. But when he died, and again, she never said a negative word about him. Never. Right. But when he died, she just thrived, man. And yeah, and so that's exactly what these people are talking about in this subject is what her husband brought to the table was sperm. You know what I mean? He helped create a family. And that's it, man. Like everything else was just terrible. And she did so much better without him around. And she never remarried. As far as I know, she didn't date. But she was all alone, and she was happy with her grandkids and with her kids and her grandkids and her career that she established after the fact. So yeah, I mean, what can a man offer outside of imprisoning a woman financially?
I mean, like, and I think you and I have both really good relationships, but I as you're talking, I was thinking about my grandmother as well. And, you know, she had 8 kids, and she did work as well, because, you know, they weren't rich. But she was, for my entire lifetime, at least to me, and I think to most people, entirely incapable of showing emotions or any kind of interior life. It was all caretaking, and that was it.
Yeah.
You know? And like you'd try and get into a conversation, and it would dead end real fast, and it'd be like, but do you want something to eat?
Right.
And like, it was all service. And like, that's sad. Even I don't know how she felt about a lot of things. You know, I don't know if she was happy or not. I think if part of me, and this is probably not accurate, but I think of her interior mental state very much like I think of animals. Like it was just like a drive. There was a drive there, not from an inability to reflect on oneself, but because it was just drowned out. Like she just was like, this is what I do. This is my thing. And that's sad. That's sad to see a person that has become that, you know, like offered so much to the world. So many people loved her so much because she was so giving and so generous. But part of that was a big brokenness, you know? And so like you and I think if we're trying to turn this into something positive, like you and I have definitely seen the light. I imagine I'm not inside your relationship, but like so much of this old view of like, I need to be served and things like that. There's and you see this throughout the manosphere, and you see it throughout all these masculinity influencers. There's a very zero-sum game mentality. Like if I'm not getting everything, that means I'm losing. If you have things, that means I'm losing. And it's just kind of this crazy thing, because for me, like having kids and having a wife, like there is honestly no greater joy than seeing someone I love succeed and do well and get things. Like it's better than when I win something. Like when I'm accomplishing something or when I'm winning something, I love that. But like seeing somebody that I love move forward and achieve things and realize their potential, that's amazing. That's a much better feeling. So like if there's one thing that we can offer to young males or even older males out there listening to this, like there's a better way than just trying to try. It's not a game. It's not a game that's competitive. It's not Monopoly. You don't have to fucking destroy everybody else to win. Like this is it can be, life is kind of a game, but you can view it as a cooperative game, and it's not fun to be at the top alone. It's fun to bring everybody with you and enjoy all these things together. I don't know. What do you?
Well, no, I agree, and I accept. Maybe I also think it's a big part of it is insecurity, a fear of loss.
Yeah,
is probably the easiest way to describe that, because like in my paternal grandparents' case, like my grandfather surely saw, oh look, my wife has this skill as a violinist, this skill as a pianist that I don't have, and it's something that I can't do, and it's something that she can do 1,000 times better than me. And if she can do that, what else can she do without me? You know what I mean? And what if she decides I don't need him because I have this thing? And I think the same thing with my maternal side. Like, well, if she can drive around, that means she won't need me to drive her around. And like this way, I know where she's going, and I have to approve of what she's doing because she needs me to take her there. I think it's a lot of it, even nowadays, not just of, relationships of yesteryear. It's just men fearing losing their partnership.
Sure.
And I mean, and women have that fear too. It's just not oppressive the way men do it. Men tamp down. And like you said, like if you're a man listening to this and your wife or your partner, your girlfriend, whatever, is thinking of starting some new task, a goal or whatever, if you're naysaying it, ask yourself why you're doing that exactly. Because I think like I did that too when I was younger. I was super insecure, and I can't think of an example, but I'm sure that I would like naysay stuff out of fear, like, well, what if they don't need me anymore? You know what I mean? And and it's just my own experience. I'm sure you probably don't feel the same way, or other guys probably don't feel the same way. But a lot of my discouraging comments to like projects or something that a partner was interested in doing was a fear of like, well, they're not going to need me anymore, or they're going to be better, they're going to succeed and leave me behind, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I think a lot of, not just men, I think a lot of people feel that way. But like I said before, men seem to make it tyrannical, and they just overwhelm with their insecurities.
Well, I think that it makes sense, like, because if we're, especially as men, if we're thinking about the past, like that was the mechanism of the past to keep a woman, like, is that they don't have any control. What are you going to do if you leave me? You're going to be up shit creek. But like that's not what you want. And if you look at the people that treat people like that way, they may be powerful or they may be rich sometimes, but they're fucking miserable. They're fucking miserable people. And if you haven't seen Joyce Carol Oates taking down Elon Musk over the last month, she's a famous short story writer. She, obviously incredible with words and very insightful, which is why her short stories, resonate with people and kind of hit home. And she's just been taking him down because he's such a miserable fucking prick. And she's been doing it again and again. And he's like the picture perfect thing of this. Like, he's a guy that just wants subservience. He just wants everything served him, and he's fucking miserable. But but like the thing that you said earlier that resonated with you, and from this post that I put, was like, what more can a man offer it except for how he treats you? Like that's the thing. If you're feeling insecure, like the way to be secure is to, with your lady friend or whomever, or even like what we're doing now, is to strengthen those relationships so that it's not, people aren't like betraying you because they can't get away with it. They're not betraying you because they fucking give a shit about you and they don't want to be shitty to you, and they're not leaving you because they love you and they have a connection, not because you have some power over them. And like all of that is based on how you treat people and how you communicate and the kind of things that you celebrate, your rituals and your inside jokes and like taking joy in each other's successes.
Well, companionship.
Yeah.
If you're the master, then it's not you're not a companion. You know what I mean? You're an overlord. It's funny you mentioned Elon Musk because I also had this little theory that like this sort of male insecurity that I was describing earlier also comes from the pressures, past pressures of a man being the provider. You know, the classical, family structure where the man has a job, woman stays home with the kids, keeps house, and the man pays all the bills, whatever. Well, I feel like as of maybe 55 years ago or so, that structure's changed. And my grandparents were within that structure before it changed. But the pressure, I'm sure, was still there. And I imagine like the odds of succeeding where you're going to be able to provide for like a large family or a family at all is intense. And I imagine that with that fear of failure comes this tyrannical behavior. Like, well, in case I don't make it, I'll have torn her down anyway, so she's not going to leave me. You know what I mean? I wonder.
Right.
So
Yeah.
When you mentioned Elon Musk, I'm like, well, he's the richest man on earth. He's got like what $250 billion or more.
I think he's at up to about 500.
Yeah, so he's almost
halfway to a trillion.
He's almost a trillionaire. So my immediate armchair psychology is that sort of fear of failure, even though I don't know that. Like it's probably generational wealth from him. I think his father had like a diamond mine or something like that.
Emerald mine, I believe.
Okay, sure, yeah. So a precious gem mine,
right?
But I wonder if that fear of failure is just internalized now. And even though he's got everything, literally he's got everything.
Yeah.
Anything he can ever imagine, he can have.
Except friendship.
Except companionship too. Yeah. I wonder if that sort of insecurity is just internalized now, and it's evolved into something nastier and just threaded into his entire being. Where even though he's the richest man on earth, he's still a Nazi. He's still a piece of shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you hear about this male loneliness epidemic, male loneliness epidemic, and we've seen, like, I've posted things on our page about how women are lonely too, but they are choosing that loneliness in some cases over the worst option of being with a shitty guy. And there are genuine nice guys out there, but I think they're in shorter supply. And let me tell you, as somebody that has always cared about women and has always cared about being nice, I've never had a problem with finding a girlfriend. If you treat people nicely and you care about them and you actually do things and you're not fucking threatened by wearing a coat or baking or cooking dinner or something like that, you're masculine. You still know your penis isn't going to fall off if you make somebody dinner. Like, then things will happen. You will connect with people, but you have to look at people as relationships and people that you care for and care about, not as possessions to own. That's a huge difference. And I think like that's what I want to start doing with these, because we have these dark subjects and these dark things that come up, and like we want to keep this show positive. So we're going to have to talk about them and then talk about how, like, if you're one of these guys coming up in the world and you can manage to be companionable and kind, you're going to win. You're going to win the relationship lottery. You're going to find people. And I'll tell you, based on social media, if your girlfriend or wife is looking on social media, you're going to look like a fucking rock star compared to most of these guys.
Well, not just that, like by comparison to her friends too, because they all talk about the relationship the same way we do. And they're going to be comparing, my man's not like so-and-so's guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not like you should sit on your laurels then. Like you should still try to not get by on the bare minimum, not get by on like, well, I'm doing better than this guy or that guy. I'm doing just enough to keep my wife or my girlfriend. Like, you get way more out of life by doing things for other people and by making your happiness not exclusively about other people. Like, it's a good thing to regard your own happiness and do things that make you happy. But if you care about people, you'll find that making other people happy also makes you happy. Like,
right.
That's just part of the deal. And you talk about the loneliness epidemic, like Elon Musk is a part of that. That guy is the loneliest motherfucker on the planet. And because, not only is he lonely because he's a miserable human being, he's lonely because he has all that money. He will never, ever, ever trust anybody around that they're an actual friend of his.
Or he's just completely oblivious to the fact that he's got so much money. They're yes men or yes people.
I have a hard time imagining you could be so oblivious. He must have it in the back of his mind with every single relationship he's ever been in. It's like, it's all transactional. It's all how people can use each other. And that's just it's a really sad way to live. You and I, we found happiness with our relationships and stuff. And that's, I think, the way to do it. Like, you just be like a human being.
I find that and Jody, I'm thankful, is very expressive about this kind of thing. I find a lot of happiness in making her happy.
Yeah.
Like it's really, really joyful for me when I know that she's happy, and it's because of something that I've done for her, or because of our how good our relationship is. It makes me feel really, really good. And she expresses that. And I'm really thankful for that, because I don't know, it just feels fantastic, man. It's a really good feeling to know your partner loves you and is so happy to be with you. It's great.
Well, and it's like, it's that same thing. And this is, so one of my favorite things in the world, and Jess has known this about me for a long time. One of my favorite things in the world, I've always loved movies. I've always been hugely into film and things like that. But the best thing in the world is showing somebody else a movie that they're going to fucking love and watching them enjoy it. It's better than the movie. It's better than the movie because you get to enjoy the movie and you get to enjoy them enjoying the movie. On the flip side, there's nothing worse than showing somebody something you think they're going to like and having them just be like, what the fuck is this?
So 9 times out of 10, it's what the fuck is this with Jody? I will say, however, the greatest example of what you just described, because she grew up in a very sort of religiously sheltered and immigrant family. So she didn't see all the same shit that we saw growing up. And she had never seen Back to the Future. And maybe I told you this already.
Oh.
And dude, when we watched that and it ended, she was like, that was amazing. And I was like, oh, that feels so good. Like, it's exactly the response that I wanted. She didn't give a shit about part 2, but the first one, she was like, yeah, that was great. I'm like, oh, it's amazing.
Yeah. So we recently watched all of those because we decided my little guy was old enough, and they're fantastic. And I always felt the same way. Part 2, I was like, this fucking movie. But watching it now, knowing that even at the time, Future Biff was at the time based on Trump, it adds a dimension and it makes the film more interesting. So now I like all 3 of them again. They're great.
Well, that's funny.
I love all 3 of them.
Alternate Biff too, and Alternate 85. That's very, very much Trump. Yeah, that's so funny. He has a painting of himself in his room.
Exactly. Yeah. Let me tell you one thing about watching movies with my middle son, my older boy. So there have been a couple of moments with films as he was growing up that I wanted to tell you about, because one of them, I can't even remember what it was, but we were worried that, this was my older boy. We were worried about something being like too violent or too evil for him. And so my wife and I were watching some movie with him in the theater, and we look over at some like particularly violent or evil part, and he's just sitting there tapping his fingers like Mr. Burns. Which was just very funny, a little disconcerting. But and then the older boy that actually still lives with us, that isn't in the Navy, we took him to see, he was like the best one to watch movies with when he was younger, because he had just like such huge reactions. And we watched, I think it was the Thor Ragnarok or something. And we were watching the movie, and there's a part where he's lost his hammer and his eyes burnt out, and he comes down and he's fighting the end bad guy, and just like he starts like shooting lightning everywhere. And my son just like, his hands went from like holding, like he was praying, to just like, the open mouth, arms wide, like triumphant, like, oh,
that's great.
And
man.
it's just like such a joy. It's like such a cinematic treasure to watch people react to movies like that. So to bring this back to our main content, like, why wouldn't you want that in your family? Why wouldn't you want that for your girlfriend? Why would you give all of that joy up for somebody that you have no care what's going on in their head or their hearts, as long as they give you a beer when you get home.
Well, continuing this joyous thread of ours, I'd like to know what your joy and or joys are this week.
So my joy, because we record and then there's time for editing and stuff, we don't have a huge team like a lot of podcasts. It's just Carlos and I, and Carlos does all that hard work. So this is coming a little bit later, but we had our Thanksgiving, as I talked about, and that's always a joy because it's just fun, and it's fun to have people over and share dishes and things like that. But also, I've started making in the past few years apple pies, because pies here they're not really a thing. And normally my baking, like I bake the cakes for my kid's birthday every year, and it's just kind of a tradition. It's funny because I'm terrible at decorating cakes, and my one son is always like real cool, and then the little guy always wants something completely ridiculous, like a shark cake or like a shape, like something in a weird shape with stuff on the top of it made out of all these things, and he loves it every year, and I do it, and then all the adults are just like, this is gloriously bad. So it's a joy for everybody. But I've been making pies the last few years, and this year I did a Dutch crumble apple pie, and afterwards I did my first lattice, and I'm even going to show you this. So
your first what?
Lattice top. So
okay,
I'm gonna pause okay. Here. So I'm gonna actually see if I can show you some of these pies. So there's just a little left over the Dutch crumbs, which I've never made before, and it's it's a lovely little pie. And then last night, so I had leftover stuff because I made 2 for actual Thanksgiving, and there's just a few pieces left. I made like a traditional apple pie.
Ooh, look at that.
Fucking beautiful.
Yeah,
Isn't
it is.
Gorgeous. I cannot wait to dive into this thing.
So it's a lattice pie or lattice topping. It's when there's strips of dough that like form a grid and they overlap each other is what the top looks like. That is a fancy looking pie.
And I did the egg wash, so it's all shiny and stuff, man. I'm up in my game.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, this is the first year that I actually bought a rolling pin. The last couple of years, I've just like put flour on the outside of an old wine bottle. So
we did that for years. Also, I said until we started accumulating rolling pins, we got a bunch of them, or a couple of them now at least.
Yeah, so that's my joys. I'm actually I'm turning out some, like, people asked for the recipe and stuff. I'm turning out some nice apple pies, and it's like one of the only foods I miss from the US. So like once or twice a year towards the end of the year, I could do it anytime, but it's kind of like, it's a pain in the butt because unlike in the US, I have to make the pie dough from scratch.
Right.
Which is like, the rest of it's pretty easy. The pie dough from scratch is always like, I have tension coming up to it because I'm like, oh, I'm going to fuck up the dough. And I never have. It's not actually that hard, but it's kind of like a thing. And people that are actual bakers are like, what is this guy talking about? But I don't know. It's a little thing. And, I baked in high school. And again, for those people that might be like, oh, baking's girl stuff or whatever, like, I had all the ladies that I could handle in high school. Like, I was nice. If you can make a woman laugh and you can cook, and you're nice, like, you're like genuinely a kind person, man, you're going to do fine.
Well, that's it's like what I said before is like when I was taking dance lessons, salsa dancing lessons in Prague, like I was one of like 2 guys in the whole thing. It's like go where the women are, guys.
Right.
Go where they're if not that they're in like cooking class or anything, but like it's definitely more women in a class like that than there are males who are interested anyway.
Yeah. Well, and all these dummies that are on the social media being like, I miss the 50s where my wife would cook me dinner. It's like, guess what? Women are interested in food too. If you learn how to cook, that's the same. They're interested in that too. It's a great way to get a foot in the door and be interesting and like, oh, you've got a skill. You can take care of yourself. Yeah. You're not a complete man baby. That's a great introduction.
Like, oh, he can cook. That's one less thing that I'm gonna have to fucking bear on my shoulders in this relationship.
Yeah, solo. Because like we both cook and stuff in this house, and it's like it's a shared duty. And like sometimes it's work, but actually like the few occasions, and we don't do this often, but the few occasions where we cook together and like one of us chops and one of us does something else, that's really, really kind of nice. And it goes really fast and it's easy. And it's just kind of like joyous to take that on together and eat something that you made together. So
yeah, Jody and I, we haven't done it for a while, but when we would prepare food together, we would like put on a podcast that we're both listening to, or like a true crime podcast, or we'd play music or something. It was always really, really nice to be doing the same activity together. In fact, I need to do that more because I've gotten real lazy with cooking because she's at home a lot more and she's better at it than I am.
Well, you've mentioned that you weaponized your incompetence.
Yeah, I know. Well, but like I said before, though, I have weaponized the incompetence. But I mean, I do a whole lot of cleaning up. Like I do most of the cleaning up. I'd say 9 times out of 10, and yeah, she explodes the kitchen when she cooks. So it's a task.
Yeah. Exploding the kitchen is, I find, an important part of my process.
It's how you know it's good.
So what's your joy this week?
So I got a couple. I've got a couple, and one of them is from a couple cycles ago that I just forgot to bring up, and they're both work related. One of them is, so the first one is I feel like I'm hitting a stride at work where everyone at the station that I'm like stationed at primarily, everyone's always been very nice to me and welcoming and helpful. But there's a friendliness barrier that I haven't really breached. And I feel like I have now. Like the other day I was there and there was a lot of people at the station actually, just by coincidence. And I don't know, I felt like kind of a part of the conversation for the first time, and like not just an outsider that they all realize, oh, he doesn't know what we're talking about because he's new. You know what I mean? Right. So those are kind of the first ones. So that was really nice. I don't know, a feeling of kind of acceptance and yeah, it's really nice. And kind of the thing you probably get when you enter like a tight-knit group. And yes, they're welcoming you and they're not going to make you feel like an outsider, but there's all this inside shit that you're not a part of, and they know that. Right. And you know that. And so you're not really integrated yet. So that's kind of phasing out. It's nice. And then the other thing is also work related. I'll leave out the details, but we were at a call, and this woman who was clearly at the end of her life. I think she was just not doing well. She was upright and still communicative, but her family had said that she's seeing a lot of dead people. And I was like, well, that's interesting. Ooh. And she said, yeah, that she's seeing a lot of like children in the house that aren't there. And that right there is a big interest of mine that I've been interested in since before I even started school. I'm like, when I'm going to be working with these sick people, that's what I want to experience that. And I wasn't able to really ask her any questions because like we just didn't have a lot of time with her, but
right.
And there's a level of appropriateness where I'm not going to like start grilling this woman with dementia about what she's seeing, you know. But
enough about you, lady. What about my needs?
Yeah, like I know that you got something going on, but you need to answer my questions right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a documentary I think I've mentioned before on Netflix called Surviving Death, and there's like 4 or 5 episodes. It's really, really compelling, and a couple of stinkers in there too, but overall, it's a really good series. And the last episode is about what's called end-of-life apparitions, also known as crisis apparitions. It's when there's a crisis of like life and death. People will see someone that they know who's like thousands of miles away, that they're like in their room or whatever. A famous case of that was Martin Short when his brother died. And I don't think he talks about it much. I saw it on Bill Maher once when he was interviewing him, that because Bill Maher is like a very famous atheist. And he was saying that Martin Short was a guest on the night that his brother died. His brother like appeared to him in his room, and I don't know what he had said to him, but I guess he was in and out of sleep or whatever. And all Martin Short really said about it was like, yeah, I don't know what that was, but yeah, his brother was there on the night that he died, and I don't know if he committed suicide or if it was an unexpected death, but that's what would be called a crisis apparition. And then the end of life apparitions are there.
So just to clarify, so that's the person that's not dying seeing the dying person. So not like a dying person's brain doing weird things. This is like somebody else.
Yeah, somebody else seeing. Yeah. And then the other thing was in the Surviving Death, the final episode, they're following this palliative doctor around who makes like house calls, or he goes to like homes where people are at the end of their life. They're no longer being treated. They're only being comforted as they slowly die. And sometimes it's not a painful thing.
It's like hospice.
Exactly that. Yeah. And so the people that he's interviewing are in hospice care. And the ones, and there's plenty of cases where they're drugged out and they're like out of their minds, but the people he's interviewing are lucid. They're not out of their mind. They're not drugged. They're not medicated to where they can't think anymore. They're perfectly clear-headed. And they're like, oh yeah, my husband was here last night and we talked for a couple of hours and it was great. Or I saw my daughter or this. And they're talking about these visitations of these people, and they're just bringing them comfort, or they're in the room right then and there where there's people there.
Yeah.
And there's enough cases of it that, I mean, there's definitely a pattern there. And I think they're kind of dismissed as like hallucinations.
Sure.
And who knows what that is, but it brings a lot of comfort. And I just find that to be really, 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 really interesting. And this was my first case of that. And so it brought me a lot of wonder and joy that
got your woo fix.
Yeah, it did. It really, really did.
Yeah.
Now I'm not celebrating this woman's dying, but like,
no, of course not.
But like, that's a clear indication that she's on her way out. Is when they're seeing people that they know who have passed, that's the indication that this is the end. Whether it's 6 months or a year or whatever, it's imminent. So yeah, that was a fun little unexpected event for me a few nights ago.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And like anybody that, I don't know, I think it's pretty common in like your type of job to like, you have to take what you can out of the experiences because like death is going to occur. And, you know, like we have this huge taboo about like speaking about death or anything like that. But like as somebody that has been around a lot of death, especially when I was younger, like it's part of life, man. And like you can either like be thrash against it and think it's terrible and all these things, or you can just kind of learn to somehow be at peace and be like, this is part of a natural process. And, you know, like we're gonna get the joy out of it we can. And those, whatever those are, whether they're hallucinations or apparitions or whatever they are, that sounds like a hell of a nice thing to have at the end.
Oh yeah. Whether it's like brain chemistry or neurons just firing off like incorrectly, I'll take it, man. Like if that means I'm going to see people that I've loved and that are gone, and it brings me peace, like I'll take it. Like that's
absolutely
that's fine with me. And that was happening to my grandmother before she died, like maybe about a year and a half, and I wasn't there obviously because I'm in another country, but. It bugged me because like everyone was scared. Like, well, why don't you just ask her questions? I was even asking my mom. I was like, is she speaking English or is she speaking Spanish? Because they were bilingual.
Yeah,
or she was bilingual. And she's like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, well, why don't you ask my aunt who is like taking care of her? And they're like, well, she's it makes her uncomfortable. And so I'm like, oh, like this is a good time to like ask her who she's talking to and like and I don't know, well, explore the curiosity.
And from the point of view of the person who's dying, like people caring and taking an interest in what you're going through makes it, I think, both more personal, like you feel that connection, but it also makes it less scary.
Yeah.
You know,
for sure.
if there's any kind of fear going into it. And if it's something that's super comforting, then that's something that you guys can share. And it's something that can make the people that are around her feel better if they actually understand that this is comforting and things like that. So it's just like what you just said, like it's such a taboo. It's such a fear response with death, and like understandably why, like we don't know what happens. The idea of not existing any longer is terrifying. The idea of it maybe being painful or whatever, but just like demystifying that and like communicating and talking and caring for people going through that, like what a good thing to do. And it's the only way to make it less terrifying, right?
Is to face it. Yeah. You gotta face it. Face your fears, as they say.
Well, your joys are always more interesting than mine. I feel like I made a pie, but
that is not true. That is not true. You've had joys that have left me holding my pies in most cases.
Well, in any case, I love this part of the show, and thanks for doing this.
Hey, thank you, buddy boy. Thanks for joining us. New podcast every Wednesday. And if any part of this show has resonated with you, let us know at outsidethemanosphere@gmail.com, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Please like, rate, subscribe to the podcast, YouTube channel, or recommend us to a friend. We hope you'll come back.
Ciao. No funds.
No. Okay.
Fun now, though.
Now that we're done, now it's okay. I can talk about. I've talked about it throughout the years though. Like maybe that's how I dealt with it. I'm like, I just gotta tell people that this happened, even though they're not asking about it.
Just randomly injecting.
Hey, there's something you should know about me. I pissed myself. Actually, I pissed myself when I was 4. I remember that. I pissed myself again when I was 7 or maybe 8, and I remember that. And then I pissed myself when I was 20. And I take my urges to pee very seriously. And when I gotta go, I just go. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go pee now just to be safe. I had too many experiences. All right. Enough pee talk. We haven't brought it to the toilet in a while.
Well, we were missing it, clearly.
Clearly.
Couldn't hold it any longer.
I lost control.